Okay, full screen, please. Perfect. Just briefly to introduce Neslihan. She is a Global BI and Advanced Analytics Manager from Hayat Holding. She's going to have a short case study presentation on launching, implementing, and spreading the data culture, which is directly interconnected with the next panel discussion, which Akshay will be leading. So stay with us to listen to Neslihan. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, and thank you all for listening to us. I will start with telling about myself, our data culture strategy, and our use case in supply chain, and our way to advanced analytics. This is Neslihan Karlidag Yeniyol. As Muhsin has mentioned, I am Global BI and Advanced Analytics Leader at Hayat Holding. I've been in this area for 26 years, and it's been approximately 20 years since I've worked with data. So I'm in this company for 1 year and more, and we are trying to build a data culture here. We are talking about data literacy. We are talking about data governance, data democratization, and data collection also. And you can connect me via these email and LinkedIn URLs. Let's talk about our strategy. How could we able to build this strategy? Our organization is a manufacturing company. We are producing paper tissues, some detergents and masks about pandemic, but we are also using Salesforce automation tools. We are using SAP as our ERP systems. So we collect lots of data, but not collecting is not everything. So we have to prepare a list of questions, and we have worked with our departments about business departments about their questions that they would like to ask our data. We have brought together the data, the questions, and tried to find answers to their questions. At first, we had the legacy systems and databases, and we have collected the necessary data from there. And we had some problems regarding the systems, processes, the transactions, and if our manufacturing was working fine, or if our supply chain was working fine. Some of our processes were manual. We had to digitalize our undigitalized processes. So then we built a data team with together our business teams about supply chain part. We built a Delta team that was formed with business and our DNA department. And we have defined the needs, the needs about the questions that our supply chain department was asking, like which truck would you should choose, if we should choose a big truck or a small truck for the delivery to the supplies. So the other question was with which products we should load our trucks, and in which route should we send our trucks. So we get the questions, then we have defined our data sources. We got internal and external data sources. And we had some tools to analyze our data, and we have prepared also our data dictionary with our business teams, because our data dictionary is a really important part of our journey, as our data dictionary consists of all the data that we had with the calculations and the meanings of the calculations. And that dictionary helped us to see the data lineage also. We have formed a data view for supply chain to give them data democratically, and they have played with their data. They have tested the accuracy of their data, and they have run some models to find answers to their questions. And we had really reduced the operational costs by 80%. So they are really happy with our solution. And after our workshops about data literacy, it's been told that to be working with data to see far more than they are doing is good to know that they are doing right or wrong. And they were always talking about the data, that how data was important to us, to them. And we have finished with working with the supply chain department. Then the other departments were waiting in the queue. And as we have told about, like Sean said, it doesn't mean that it should be a big data or a small data. It's not about its volume. It's directly affect the data management strategy to govern the data. Master data management is a really big issue. Data cleaning, data quality is bigger also. The data capital, it seems, is a working capital. So data is a liability to a business, not a capital on it. It's meaningful, they said. It means that it's not your data's, if it is big or small, it means that if your data is clean enough, if you know your data, if you have governance on your data, then you can play with your data and you can get lots of insights from your data. And our way to the advanced analytics is a big journey, actually, because our business our business departments are very experienced. They know their job very well, and they are very they have lots of tools to do their business, and they do not want to use other tools. So we didn't want to give them lots of tools, but we have given them just their data, and they had started playing with data. But before, they were just using applications. They were monitoring their operations. They were checking their reports. And with these reports, they were trying to forecast their operations, but they weren't so accurate about the decisions they were taken. So they now used their models that with using our cleaned and accurate data. So they are very happy to use the models, and now they can really know that their decisions are correct because their data is clean, and they know that their data is governed, and it is always tried to be clean, and the regulations will changing, and they know that they do not do anything regarding the regulations anymore. So there are people that are taking their data's care. So they are really happy to work with us. And I can tell you that collaborating with business is a real challenging, but a good way to come a conclusion, because it's really hard to know every sector or every business. But if you cooperate with your business teams, then it's always good to know that you know the data. I mean, you make the data democratically available to everyone, and you know that the business knows their data, and they know how to share what the critical parts, critical paths to data, critical issues of data. So they know that they are using the latest versions of their data, and we know that our business knows everything about the data they own. So I'm stopping the share.
Thanks a lot. Now waiting for questions. Neslihan, we are done.
Yes, thank you for listening.
No, thank you so much for the presentation. I'm waiting for the questions now from participants on the chat area. I don't want to obligatory engage participants into the topic, but Shaun is a victim there and I can always engage them. Some questions if you have now. Kate, can you, switch on your camera and mic, please, to ask the question? Thank you, Kate.
Sure. Thank you, Neslihan. It's very insightful presentation and really happy to hear how you collaborate with different stakeholders on building the data culture. My question is very simple. How long did it take you to build this framework?
To building the framework was not a big time, but to make the team work together was a big time. It took us more than 9 months to work together and build this framework together.
Amazing, thank you.
Thanks a lot. Now Ahmed has a question. Ahmed, I give you
the data cleansing. Yeah, for supply chain, the data cleansing is a real big issue. Actually, we are using SAP as our legacy system, but it's not the system, it's the people that make the noisy data. So we get the what were the unclean data, their examples about unclean data, about the regulative parts of the data that we should take care of. We took their parameters that we need to be see about in the data, like the uppercase, the dates, the product numbers, how long was the identities, these kinds of things. But the most difficult part was checking all the data one by one, by example, of course, not one by one, but we had some examples and we had to run those unclean data parts, and then we had made our what can I say, rules about cleaning the data. We had to run some rules also.
Thank you for that. I understand that this is a challenge when it comes to data cleansing and how we are going to democratize this data in a way to support the business team. So actually my question is more related into what are the kind of use cases that the business users has got the benefit of after this kind of data cleansing, like in terms of supply chain, as you mentioned, that they have a kind of a business when it comes to contracts, to invoices, to procurement,
products,
you know, exactly. So how did they benefit from this kind of a clean data after you passed this stage?
Yeah, after passing the data cleaning part, the business line were looking at a small group of data. I mean, the data was shrink, and then they could focus on the right question for the right product, I can say, or right invoices, because there were coincidences between the products, which product was the overdriven product, which was the new one, because there are new products that we are running in Asia part, but not in Turkey. So they didn't know which one was in Turkey or not from the product ID, but they could uniquely identify the products after we have cleaned and, as you said, democratized the data for their site.
Okay, great. And actually, I have seen such cases in when we do this kind of in specific for supply chain management, where there is something called NLP, which is natural language processing.
Yes.
Somehow we just extract the information from invoices, and it reduces, as you mentioned, 80%, which is a great amount from operational cost. And this means that using the AI within the operations is going to help in reducing the effort and time to be spent.
Exactly.
Thank you for this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We have just four minutes left before the panel. Sorry for keeping you still waiting. We have questions. Now I see Abdul Malik, he had a question. I give you co-host Abdul Malik to ask your question, please, from STC.
I have a question regarding your operating model. Do you have the analytics management with the data scientists, data engineers, with the clients working as a group, or the analytics management working with the client and then get back to the data science and data engineering team?
Actually, we have an analytics team also in business line. But here in IT, we have an analytics team with data engineer and data scientists. We are taking the data ready for the business line, and they know which models to use, how to use their models, how to use the models for their questions. So for the data preparation, data cleansing part, we take the role and we work for them. After that, they take the role and they work for themselves.
Yeah, and I think the best way for operating the analytics operating model, which is to have the data scientists, data engineers, and analytics management all in one plate to have the great results. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Still 2 minutes for questions. There are many questions. Manish is asking, you took 9 months to complete this journey. You can see the questions in the chat area.
Yes.
What was the state of the data in terms of accuracy and what is it today?
At first, it was like 9% accurate. Now it's 97.3% accurate.
Okay, perfect. Very nice. Another question to reply, the last one from Hugo's. Thank you for the presentation. What challenges in setting up data stewardship role?
Yeah, yeah, the data stewardship role is a big role for us because data stewards has to work with all of the groups in business, in IT, in C-level, and actually the worst case was to take everyone's approval about the data coming, if it was right to clean that data or if it was right to run the rule which was given by the business line. But data stewardship roles, after setting up data stewardship roles, we were very lucky to run the rules that we know that they are really approved by the business and the C-level. So at first they didn't want to take the role, but after setting up the role with the management's support, it was good for us to run a data governance and data line for the supply chain department.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, Neslihan, for these explanations. Guys, if you have, I see